Hey guys, this is a closer look on the Stalker Scorpion Piston that's just been released at Skirm Shop, and this piston is weight adjustable, has an air brake and is the best upgrade for your SRS. In this video we're going to take a look at what's in the box, how does it work and how do you have to set it up, and what are the possibilities with this piston. So let's get right into it. So this is the Stalker Scorpion Piston, the package it comes in, and you can open it up right away. First we have a label that shows the features of this piston. And next to that is a couple of parts. A bag with the smaller parts, some gold weight adjustable parts, some black aluminium lighter weight parts, and a really nice spring guide. So I just unpacked this small little bag where all these parts were in. Let's go from left to right on what's exactly in this small bag. We have a black cup and a brown cup. I will go into detail on what exactly the difference is between those two, but first move on. We got a back end of the piston that catches on your sear. We got two O-rings, a thicker one and a smaller one for the spring guide, depending on if you have an A1 or an A2. We got two plastic air brakes that are tapered, a brass air brake that is not tapered. This little nut is included on one of these air brakes that you're installing, a bumper pad for the back of the spring guide, a guide ring on the front of your piston, and a few small O-rings including some spares, so making sure the parts we're going to assemble in a bit does not get loose while you're playing with it. So let's take a close look on the gold weights that are included. These are made from stainless steel and each weight is weighing 21 grams and the cylinder head is weighing 24 grams. Let's go right away to the cylinder head. As you can see right here, it is open cut so the air brake can fit in, and underneath is a small penetration area so the air can't go through, but you can still put in the air brake. Up all the weights. As you can see, they are unscrewable, and this makes this piston really modular. So each weight 21 grams. In total this is up to 84 grams. You could go full weight and get 5 weights, but you need to get a separate weight with it. In our testing, 4 weights was more than enough, but you might want to go heavier depending on your setup. And next up we got the aluminium version. This one is in black, and here each weight is 7 grams and the cylinder head is weighing 8 grams. Same setup, same style of connecting everything together. Just so you can see, this is also same design, exactly the same. So how do you set this up? Well, every weight adjustable piston needs some bit of tuning, and this piston has so many configurations you will be able to make it work for your setup. Let's get started on building the piston. The first thing you want to do is, of course, get the back end of your piston, but also we included some small O-rings that are meant to go on this threading side. The reason for this is that when you screw it on like this, and when it's fully tightened, it has some resistance of letting loose, meaning after even thousands of shots, it will still be rock tight attached to this. Do this on all your weights to make sure it doesn't let loose while you're shooting with it. You're short, I will skip the part where I'm putting all the O-rings on and we'll just start building it without any O-rings. Just do it when you're installing it. So let's go for a second weight, a black one that is made of aluminium and that is weighing 7 grams. So now already we are at 28 grams excluding the back end part of this. And we just keep continuing to what do you want to make on your piston or your desired weight. It's a matter of taste, a matter of testing, and see where your SRS is performing the best. It depends on the size of your inner barrel, it depends on what kind of jewel you're shooting at. So all these things, take it in the factor and just tool around and see when the piston is having the best effects on your end. So now we got a half piston ready already. So we put this down to the side, and now you can choose if you want to go for a stainless steel head or go for the aluminium version one, depending on your weight. This way I'm going for the aluminium version, and it is the same thing, but first you have to put on is the small guide ring. No need to put an O-ring in here because there's no friction on here. Make sure it's nice and tight and screw it on here. That easy. Let's put this to the side. First, before I move on the piston side, I'll show you the spring guide. As told, there are two types of O-rings. Depending on what SRS you're having, let's say an A1, an A2 or an M2, it will all work, but you have two kinds of thickness on the O-rings because the A1 and the A2 have slight differences. Pick the O-rings that works best for your stock and just put them around here, and your piston and your spring guide is almost ready. To reduce some sound, we have designed a small bumper pad that can be included in the spring guide. This reduces the sound inside your receiver just by a slight amount, but of course we all know the slightest amount can make a difference in the game. So the piston is just completely assembled now, we just need to finish the top part. And we have two types of air brakes. As said, we have a brass air brake and we have a plastic air brake that is also tapered. So this is a tapered ending, as you can see right here. In this case, I'm going for the brass air brake, and you have to add the small nut that is included. Just twist it up all the way and now install it onto your piston. Again, you can screw it in almost all the way. As you can see here, now it's done. And then you can lock the air brake so it doesn't move in and out while you're shooting, or you untie it and then you screw it further out and then you adjust it again, and it's still rock solid inside the piston. Test out what kind of length is working in your SRS. It's really, really personal. And the same thing goes for the brass air brake, the same setup, just test out what is working in your SRS, because every SRS is different, every spring is different, every weight configuration is different. And the last part, of course, is the piston cup. And we have designed two cups, a brown one and a black one. The difference is that the black one is slightly smaller in diameter, and we noticed if you set it up right and you tinker around a lot with the black cup, you're getting a much higher joule output. We have seen a setup like this with a 3 joule Raypack spring going over 3.3 joules and still being really, really silent. The downside is, and it's something in airsoft that most people want to have, is you don't have a thumb lock air seal, meaning if you put your thumb on the end of your barrel with this cup, it is not 100% sealed. But because it accelerates quicker, you get more energy and you can play with a lower value spring power. But again, you need to adjust everything to make it work properly. If you do want 100% air seal, is that something you really want? It will be more silent. You can take the brown cup. But the brown cup reduces the joule about 1. We have seen that the setup with the black cup goes up to 3.3 joules. When you put in the brown cup, we go to 2.1, 2.2 with the same cylinder and with the same setup, exactly the same. All these results were also measured in the Stalker cylinder. We noticed that in the Silverback cylinder, the FPS is about 40 to 50 lower on the average BB weight, heavyweight BB weight. So we also recommend this piston to work optimally with the Stalker cylinder, but it works just as fine in the Silverback cylinder. So we recommend to go with the black cup. Although you have no thumb lock seal, just measure your joules. You will see it's really, really consistent, and your shots will fly quicker. Or if you just downgrade your spring, you can have a slighter pull. Another cool feature of this cup, if you can see this, right in here there's a small cutout for this nut, meaning the nut is also secured by the piston cup. Putting this on has some resistance the first few times you're installing it. This is a brand new set, of course, so it has some more resistance because the cup is quite stiff. Put it over the air brake, and then you just have to tinker around. Look. Make sure it's connected on all sides so it's snugly fit. There we go. And this is the normal version of your Stalker Scorpion piston, the same length as all the other pistons. But the cool thing about this piston that has never been done on any other piston before is that you can short stroke your SRS with just adding one more weight. So you unscrew the piston. Take another weight, in this case I'm taking the aluminium version one, add it on here, and you got a short stroke piston. The weight is of course heavier because you added the weight, you get less air volume, and what we have seen is that this is decreasing the sound so much because there's much less air coming out of your rifle, and still with a 3 joule Rapex spring on a 420 barrel we have got 2.6 joules with this setup. Of course everything needs to be tweaked depending on how your setup is performing, what BB weight you're shooting at and what spring you're using. You can adjust the air brake to reduce the noise or the FPS a slightly amount. You can adjust the weights just as all the other weight adjustable pistons, but this is just more modular. You get more options if you want to weight in the front, if you want to weight in the back, everything is possible. Altogether, this is a really nice upgrade for your SRS that you've been waiting for. Go get it now, it's available at Skirm Shop, and we really hope you enjoyed this product.